John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.
Hey guys, Underhudge, 7 of Truth, Infinite Potential Healing, and as I've been calling myself, Crocodile, Star-Lord, Wolverine, Aladdin, Dundee, just to make an effort to own my power and be an example for you, because being human on Earth in the 3D at present can be a very humbling experience, and in my perspective, we're the intergalactic megastar last Mimsies, courageous enough to incarnate through all the complex incarnation grid, and to get here on the surface and just to be able to have a little gap in the little micro impossible probability to be here and actually through whatever we've done in our lives, just to have this innate soul source stream will to gain awareness and just get to some sort of plateau to be able to contemplate these sort of things. So my example in calling me that is to remind you to be on Earth means you are the same as well. So this world, from the 3D 5 sense perspective, will do anything to grind you down to that, to be a box in that reality, which is an image I've shown you many times and stuff, and I'll show you a bit later on. I'm just wanting to offer a short intro of the main body of this, and an outro as well of some experiences I didn't sort of include. This is Galactic Special Forces Part 8. It's the second part of a recording, which is the main body, involving one really amazing being that's out there, which is the exact same as us, alright? Who I feel did an incredible thing, and the purpose of sort of offering the Galactic Special Forces stuff and all the others. So if you've come by any of the other recordings relative to my multi-dimensional method to the 3D madness, sort of more advanced sort of teachings, my aim with that was to, and I'll do a bit of a talk about this because I've added a couple other themes which are in playlists on my channel, my YouTube channel now, and if you go to my website 7andtruth.org, I've got all the links with all the different playlists and stuff so you can go through them. And I'm also created an Instagram page which is I'm going to basically be offering a lot of the images and artworks that I've created over the years, which I've got hundreds and hundreds, which I know have been very activating for people and stuff. So I invite you to go find that on my website. I've got all the links and stuff, and I do it on Facebook. I'm not here to sort of self-promote and stuff. I leave it up to the individual. If I'm a match for you, cool. If I'm not, awesome. If we're just here like having galactic pit stop coffee for codes or whatever and stuff, awesome. If you eventually seek me out for healing and that, thank you and stuff. But I've just recently, like this last weekend just gone, I've offered the first one, which I called Foundational Concept, which is, I call the big picture and where we're at and our potential. Because in order to do this Galactic Special Forces level stuff, I've had to have a lot of very solid self-acceptance of what's going on, and none of this Galactic Special Forces stuff would have been possible had I not gotten to that level of appreciating what is going on fundamentally in the reality. So it's not to blow my own trumpet, but this shit is so easy to me, alright? And if you don't get that foundation, how are you meant to engage the higher levels? If you build like a house on sand, it crumbles. If you contribute to the reality based on falsehood, what damage can you be creating, right? So, and that's where I've got the consciousness Tetris. What I was saying is, if you do stuff relative to the earthwork and grid work without doing the proper healing, this is the consciousness Tetris image. See this? If you've got unresolved stuff and you're working at a higher level, you're imprinting that on the land, alright? So, if you skip steps and stuff, then you could be causing a lot of shit, alright? It's not a joke, okay? When I say I've done 10 years of healing and very thorough exploration and stuff and really reluctant to step up and be public and all that sort of stuff, it's because I've taken the personal responsibility of resolving all that stuff as best I can. So the byproduct is these sort of things reveal themselves, alright? It's not I'm going out seeking and wanting, status and all that sort of bullshit and fame and be seen and attention and all that. I've been very reluctant to get to this point because I respect the responsibility and impact offering these sort of things have, and that's why I'm sort of can do it. I'm actually, like I said in Foundation like Concepts Part 1, it's like I'm being a relief valve sort of thing, I feel, of actually offering this, because to me all sides are going to hate us, but they're going to seek us for the help and all that sort of stuff and to holding the space. And so I'm not fearful of being seen and stuff like that. I'm actually doing this in a public way to offer, this is data that's been going on. I'll let all sides sort of process this and see it, and if I get pushback, I get pushback. And what I wanted to do is actually offer a clip at the end of the main body, because I did get some pushback and certain stuff that went on after this, which if you remember in part 7, because this is part 8, I included the Len Horowitz clip where he talked about the pushback and all that sort of stuff, and it just happens. And I've been hit so many times and stuff, and like I said, in my own consciousness Tetris, I put out there all my faults. I love the journey of healing and getting to a new plateau and stuff like that. I've been very thorough, and I'm very, very transparent and disarmative with people and letting them see all my faults, alright? Because the thing is, once you get past the faults, you get on the other side of it. And people that are avoiding shit, they won't face it, and they'll go off into another tangent, another direction. And yeah, it's fascinating what goes on, because if other people are transparent to you and then they're not willing to face their stuff, then you're the issue. All right, it goes into judgment mode, where you're seeing the invalid in another person and you're not wanting to see it in yourself. All right, so yeah, those people that have seeked me out for infinite potential healing of late are really grateful and stuff, and really amazing journeys and experiences you've all had. But yeah, this one is really cool, and it was very, like, all this stuff just reveals itself. The whole thing with the Galactic Special Forces is you're on 24/7. When things come up, you get called into doing it, and you've just got to be there, and there's a lot of security. The reason why I'm comfortable saying all this sort of stuff is because I've switched my attitude and stuff. A lot of the stuff that I'm talking about that I used to do here, I'm no longer allowing that. I have a huge vetting process now, all right? Like, that's why I'm offering my healing. What I found is you'd be friends or family or whatever stuff, and what I found is a lot of people see that as an opportunity to, get something without value and all that sort of stuff, and that's cool. My attitude has been acceleration up until the virus and stuff, get things done as quick as possible, because people are so attached to their money, they're not willing to value you and stuff. And a lot of this stuff is, like, say this particular instance, it was hundreds of hours with this one person and stuff, and it was never about all this stuff. But when I talk about these sort of variables with this individual, a lot of people actually have them, okay? And it just, again, it's a byproduct of things. It's not an agenda, and it's a metaphor of the last whimsy, because who else is there, okay? So it's getting back to the vetting and stuff. Like, I won't be dealing with anyone that I haven't healed, okay? That's a requirement and mandatory for me now. And what I found is, like, when I instill value in myself, it saves me a lot of stuff. So if that's not the path you want to go on, that's cool. Like, I'm not saying it's all like you have to do it and stuff. I'm saying this is how I'm choosing to operate now. That other pathway, it was a valid exploration. I'm grateful for the experience, and I know Earth knows all that I've done, but like I said, the consciousness Tetris, and it's if I define my reality and my rules of engagement and stuff, then I can be absolutely professional and do what needs to be done. And in all honesty, I've found if the value component is engaged, it resolves all the stuff anyway. It's a much more efficient way to operate. So I'm just anchoring that now, and I'm being that because it's the best harmony and balance, and for me and those that come to me, and also it's the most accelerated path for those that seek me out. So all the, like I said before, the multidimensional method to the madness is pretty high level. The infinite potential healing is, again, high level, which this relates to. This is like this, and the last part 7, Galactic Special Forces, are all sort of had the foundation of understanding the womb chakras and sacred sites and the energy and the grids and all that sort of stuff. And now I've been starting to offer what I call foundational components, which will be, if I've operated with any assumptions, then that will be the aim of clearing that up. I come from an IT consultant background, so in IT you could, like, assumptions were the mother of all F-ups, alright? If you assume, like, so you're dealing with someone on the phone and they're saying their computer wasn't working and stuff, if you assume that, say, the power was in, you might spend an hour just, like, trying to fault find all this sort of stuff, and then it was just something really basic. So you have to operate with no assumptions, and I enjoyed that revealing because I felt that like my own internal algorithm is very different to what I publicly display. If you watch part 9 and 10 of the multidimensional method to the 3D madness, like innately engaging that automated memory sort of ability was key, and that was a foundational component to be able to like process the computer magic 8-ball output for doing this stuff, and having the awareness and the confidence in what I know as a foundation to launch from. So yeah, I hope that sort of helps, and it's an incentive to go and be very hardcore on the stuff I've done, because what I feel now is it's going to be very hard to travel, and so there's those who got their DNA lineage contracts to their region, a bit like this metaphor of this person I talk about. Perhaps the potential for doing all this stuff is there, but you need to do the work before. It won't be revealed. And trust me, Earth won't like engage you and stuff like that. You might have your guides and all that telling you what to do and all that sort of stuff, but to me, I don't care. Like thoroughness and like the Mr. Miyagi Daniel-san, like wax on, wax off is key. And like I've said, this has taken me 10 years to get to. If you watch the start of the foundational concepts, I included a lady called Peace Pilgrim, who was an amazing teacher, and what I'm going to try and do is offer a sort of little teachings like that, like I did with the part 7 with Richard Allen Miller, and this one again I'm going to offer another clip that expands on the magic and like the perception of negative and dark sorcerers and all that sort of stuff, because it's about your will and your intent. If your intent is pure and stuff, and you're not agenda driven other than to help facilitate like what I'm sort of saying, it's like that's sort of your ultimate defense. Like anything that comes up against that with agendas and self-service and all that sort of stuff, it will be revealed, and the energy like efficiency over time won't be, the stamina won't be there, because there's a compromised aspect of it. And yeah, it would just like, if you haven't got your bases covered and you're sticking your neck out, then there might be hard lessons, a bit like what I say a bit later. So this is probably quite a big intro already, and I don't want it to take too long. With the clip of Richard Allen Miller, wherever I put it in and stuff, and other clips as well, I try and offer you other teachers to hear their perspectives and tune into their frequency and linguistics, because perhaps they've got something else that you need from them as well. So I really hope you enjoy this. I hope you get a lot from it. I hope you take it as not me trying to promote me, but to offer how amazing we are, and if we do our basic work, what are the potentials that are there. And trust me, there's going to be a lot of need for a lot of people. All right, so I hope you've gone and watched a big picture perspective, like foundational concepts part 1, that will really help and solidify a lot of the fundamentals of where we're at. And I hope you've gone and been thorough in Infinite Potential 1 and 2, because this is sort of the byproduct of that, because I alluded to a lot of things that might be the potential in the regions wherever we are. All right, because when the control is tight, there's distortions. So yeah, that's a bit of a hint. All right, but thank you for finding me, and I hope you get a lot from this, and I'll see you looking like this on the other side, because the other one was a week or 2 ago now. So enjoy, guys. Cheers.
Let's see, practical applications of magic.
Well, health. I mean, you know, for example, you have the option of being sick or talking yourself out of it.
Right.
I mean, for example, your flu, your pneumonia that you had.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get a hook in you, a visual on how to take control of this, you somehow feel real secure, because it matches your belief system, and you're in a program that is moving you toward your goal of health, not having this phlegm and the possibility of fever and, you know, illness.
Sure.
How most people die, by the way, is with pneumonia. You be very careful with yourself.
No, I'm feeling much, much better.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so health, but other people are going to say money and, right?
Oh, could it be the secret? Oh, yeah. There it is. There's that, bold and everything. Values. That's what it's about. And your purpose and your intentionality, that's what's going to make you separate from being an animal. And
Right.
your values. And if they're wrong, how to change those values, like you would a pair of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
That ability is what I will call magic, and is the next generation of sciences.
Oh, amazing. What about? Okay, I made the mistake earlier of saying black magic versus white magic.
No, it wasn't a mistake.
Well,
it shows me your foundations that might want to be reviewed and altered a little bit, because by thinking of something as black, like, boy, I couldn't do that. Well, there's lots of things I couldn't do, but I respect it.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you don't have to own it. You don't have to buy into the fact that someone else is doing something you wouldn't do. Doesn't mean they're wrong.
Right. Again, it goes back to intention and
your purpose. Are you trying to change everybody or just yourself? Are you trying to make it a better world for yourself or for everybody? What is your purpose, and why would you want to make it for everybody when really, before you can make it for anybody, you're going to have to make it for yourself type of thing? It's like, why would you choose to think of it that way over a different way? All of those kinds of questions are really, really important to the magician. He has to introspect, because otherwise, what do we have that? What is that called? Observer bias. Influencing the situation. And you really do not ever want to thwart someone else's will in terms of what they're trying to do.
Understood.
The only time you would do that is when it's against your own.
When it's impinging on your own.
Right, and then you have choices.
Okay.
The thing is, the key is to be aware of it. How much are we in a matrix? And
really, more and more, I think that's closer to the metaphor that's really true.
That's right. And at what level do you observe your freedom, and what level do you see your prisons? And your prisons are a lot of your belief systems. And if you could go in and surgically change those, doesn't mean you have to get rid of them. I mean, beliefs are from childhood, and they're really important because they make you feel secure. Whereas doubt and something new is more scary. You're not sure what's going to happen. You don't know where it's all going to go. You're not sure how it's all going to come out. And that doubt makes you uncomfortable. And so that's the inside and outside the box. But the dialogue that you're trying to form with self, in the magic, of knowledge and conversation, that part has to do with voice of coyote and voice of reason. One is inside the box, the other is on the outside. It turns out it's the same voice, but from a different perspective, like they have different goals.
Right.
And what you have to do is learn how to use them as tools. So, because stepping out of the box is the only way you're ever going to change.
Right.
And since change is absolutely the law, well, then that means you're going to have to be stepping out of the box a lot of times that you're not thinking you are.
All right.
Hi guys, Andre Hodge, Seven of Truth, Infinite Potential Healing, and Crocodile, Star-Lord, Wolverine, Aladdin, Dundee here, owning my power and stuff. So thank you for finding me and stuff. If you're following on from the previous release and I've broken this up into second part, then thank you. I hope you gained something from this. This is the main body of Galactic Special Forces Part 7, so this might be Part 7 too. Because I've broken up because it got a bit longer and I had a fair bit of interruption during that other bit of recording. The kids have gone in now, so it's a bit easier. So this part is the third of 3 really amazing people that I've met in my city, and this is pretty epic. So this relates to someone really, really amazing that I just so happened to meet and got along with and stuff, and I'll say this now, I forgot to mention this before. One aspect of me and what's in my codes is, say if I meet these sort of really amazing people, is that it triggers a sort of a sentinel aspect, like a guardian aspect, that because we've connected, it triggers something in me that is like a bodyguard, sort of an energetic multidimensional bodyguard. So I'm in guardianship and I'm in sort of mentor mode as well and stuff, and respectful of who they are. And there's the 3D, if I show you the image that I've shown you many times before. So there's the 3D sort of stuff, but then there's the multi-dimensional, right? Like the high level purpose of going on, and so the sentinel is guarding on that level, and I know how it is in the 3D and stuff. So how did I describe this girl? She is a living ancestor of the Chinese emperorship, okay? She has heritage, but she doesn't live in that country, and she was in another country and stuff, and I'm going to try and be respectful and vague and stuff, but long story short is one of the universities in my city is very unique for its ability to facilitate a certain qualification in the medical field. So she was in her city and she went to a opportunity night of coming here, or a sort of a seminar about this particular university in her country, about offering this particular sort of pathway in the medical field, and it's quite prestigious around the world from what I gather and stuff. It's internationally recognized, so there's a lot of desire to actually get it, let alone come here and stuff. So she went to that seminar, and she was the only person. It was quite weird, and they were very accepting of her, and it was like a bit of a red carpet to get here, alright, to do that degree. So she worked at a very high level in the medical profession. She would work in emergency wards, operating theatres, and for instance, before the main event that I get into, she, or maybe it was after, she went to Morocco, for instance. Like she'd be really interesting, amazing, working at a high level. Like she would be working 14-hour days for 7 days, and she would, or like 10 days, and then organise her leave to have 5 or like a week or 2 off, and then she would go travel overseas, and then she would get straight off the plane and go and work in insane asylum sort of thing. So she would get off the plane after a 20 hours trip and go straight to work in that role. It was phenomenal high level sort of, and be the last resort sort of there. So really incredible being, genius. She reminded me of a cross between Agnes of Despicable Me, like that beautiful naivety and innocence, and Attila, the battle angel, like with the eyes just like absorbing everything, like just a total sieve of everything going on around, like, but she was a very logical, conservative genius, but she was also a figure skater champion as well. So you imagine she's the logical, but also the dance and flow and stuff. So she was really high level achiever and brilliant, and yeah, just an amazing, incredible being, and humble. You would never know it about her, alright? Very regal and stuff. So what happens is a lot of people, they confide in me and they talk and stuff, and they trust me with their information. And she told me that she was actually, her grandmother had to escape China from the Mao communist imposition. She was a princess in the royal court, the emperorship. So literally she's like one of the very few last living heirs of the actual emperorship in China. She's in another country, and she had all this sort of issues go on. I remember she talked about like she was driving on a highway in her country and a guy came on the opposite side of the lane and like basically went for her and almost took her out. She was in hospital and all this sort of stuff, so it's like she's been targeted, doesn't know it. And it just so happens in her country, one of her best friends was the son of the ambassador to China, ironic. So she went to China in 2008, she said, when she was quite young. And what happened was she was met at the airport by a Chinese general, alright? And she was given a guided tour all through China. The general would be there watching her and being with her and making sure her stay was all excellent, because she was going with a friend whose father was very high up in the Communist Party and stuff, and she would stay in all the communist hotels, because in China there's this whole you imagine the Communist Party's the only party, so there's all these facilities, so like 5-star hotels all over the place just for Communist Party members and stuff. It's a different culture to here and stuff. So she went to things like the Terracotta Warriors and stuff like that, and given a whole grand tour and stuff. And I was saying to her, like, you do realize that, you know, the Communist Party in China knows all their threats, so they're so aware of you, who you are and stuff, and you just so happen to be friends of these people and given a guided tour with a general and stuff. They know exactly who you are, alright? So she was like, no way, Andre, no way. I was like, yes, wait, they fucking know, alright? So that this girl, she triggered my sentinel. So I was like guardian of her, and she would go traveling all over the world and stuff, and I would give her my crystals. I posted some photos of going to a exhibition in Adelaide of French and Impressionist paintings in like July or June 2018, and I went with her. That was the first time I met her, and we went to see those amazing paintings in the flesh. So it was just like, it was really wonderful to interact with someone so well versed and appreciative of all these things, and it was amazing being, okay? So what happened, getting to the point of this whole Galactic Special Forces Part 7, because all the other things are about operating with grids and crystals and the earth and stuff relative to what I offered in Infinite Potential Part 1 and especially Part 2. So I suggest their homework relative to this. And what happened, one of her trips is she was going to Borneo. So if you look on the map where Borneo it is, it's on the edge of the South China Sea. And I gave her some crystals, and I just said, look, she always looked at me like total discernment, not dismissive, but like she worked like as a psychologist. So she was like, I was in this, like, if you know the fourth phase of water, it's like this really interesting zone that doesn't have any equal and stuff. So she was like the Attila eyes, like absorbing everything, not dismissing me, but also discerning me and not invalidating me. It was really, because she was very, very conservative in the medical side of things, and she would go by all the stats of all the recommendations and stuff and follow the guidelines and stuff to the letter and stuff. So you have to understand of those who operate in that space, and I'm very respectful of that. You don't know what they've got hanging over them if they step out of line and stuff, you know, like indemnity insurance and stuff like that. Insurance is a major driver of our world and stuff. So workers in the medical field, if they step out of line and don't follow guidelines and stuff, they get smashed, alright? So there's a lot of control from the purse strings, if you will. So, but yeah, she was non-dismissive of me, which was really fascinating, and she's a bit of subtle rebel at heart, but really, yeah, regal and stuff, and like, she could be a princess, but she was very, very, she was more like Snow White, because she would train people here in the ice ring, like train girls how to ice skate and stuff, because she was a bit of a figure champion and stuff, especially here, like, where in summer it's like desert, there's not much in the way of like ice skating and stuff. So in her spare time, on top of doing all this stuff, she would train people in the ice ring here and stuff. And it was purely genuine. She got a lot of joy and stuff. It was like just a really beautiful Snow White level being, right? Regal. Like, so you talk about leaders and like hierarchical and stuff, you would want to follow this person because she would just be genius and accepting of all the variables, like the algorithm and stuff of all the people she operates with, and making the right decisions based on her populace. And so it's like a true goddess leader and stuff. And so in one of her trips, getting back to what I'm saying, she decided to go to Borneo and the jungles and see the orangutans and all that sort of stuff. So what I'll get to is the date, the specific date. All right, this all happened around going to Borneo and stuff. It's August 5th, 2018. On August 5th, 2018, there was a 7.2 which got lowered to 6.9 earthquake on the island of Lombok, just outside Bali. And what I feel that was a byproduct of the activation of the South China Sea. And she went and put a crystal on the beach of Borneo facing the South China Sea, which was basically a womb chakra, okay, crystal of someone with a living DNA lineage to that whole region, like putting this in the South China Sea, right? It's really like epic, because again, like this other girl from South Africa and stuff, and these other people, I never tell them what to do. I just say, look, just leave it in a spot that really feels significant for you, like feels like a really special spot. You get a lot of feeling from it. So her instincts was to put it basically in the South China Sea. And fuck all that up, alright? So yeah, I'll talk a bit more about the South China Sea in a sec, but what the other variables in play were me in Adelaide holding a space. And if you look where Lombok is, the South China Sea, if you draw a straight line, it goes down to the southwest of Australia at around the Perth region. I've got a few people around there that I've got a shitload of crystals to as well, because I know how significant that region is from the military and the Indian Ocean sort of stuff. So the opposite side of South Africa and the Indian Ocean, it's a really big, remote sort of region. So people that I come across, I'm very proactive on, like, to me, like I said, in Infinite Potential 2 and 1, Healing 1, each of these crystals to me, I invoice Earth $1 million. That's how precious they are, how precious the womb chakra is in the universe, not just here, clear. So I take a lot of responsibility for that, and investment and value, and the last Mimsy level sort of stuff. Everything's like last Mimsy level, right? So I've still got one ally like in that region south of Perth, and she, I feel, was the one that was related to it. But there was other people around there that doing grid work with my crystals and stuff that I haven't been in touch with for many years, but I think they were also at play. But the line from where this friend was down to that region goes straight through Lombok, and just so happened to be on that weekend or that time was Nikki. Nikki was in Denpasar, Bali. She didn't know why she was there, but she got there and stuff. And so there was this massive earthquake in Lombok, the island like just on the other side of the bay to Bali, and she felt the earthquake and stuff. And I think it was 98 people died in that earthquake. And not only that, it obviously destroyed a lot of temples and buildings, so there was a lot of ancestral entities and ghosts and demons that got freed up and stuff. So Nikki, what she does is she does her ancestral karma clearance and does her portal and clears all that. So I'm like the Professor X in X-Men, and all these variables and assets are at play, and I have to sort of take care of them all emotionally and all that sort of stuff, and listen to all their stuff and do healings on them and all that. Like I've said, I've been doing healings and the etheric implants and chicks for a long time. Like this girl that worked in the medical field, I was like interacting over like chat apps and stuff, and I could feel all the chips in her and stuff from her job and that, so I was clearing her. But she was phenomenal. It was very, very seldom and stuff that I would do that. And what she actually did when she went away, she lent me her car so I could go do grid work and crystal work and stuff. So yeah, but yeah, that sort of event happened. And I know the earthquake in Lombok was It just so happened that a couple of government ministers, Peter Dutton and Julie Bishop, were there doing anti-terrorism meetings with the Indonesian counterparts right on their island at that time, and they had to stop that. And yeah, so there was an interesting reality political stuff going on over there, secret meeting that was never talked about. All right. So they had to get out of there, and that got interrupted. But to me, it was all about the South China Sea and this being connecting to it with a womb chakra and activating the whole sea. And in Infinite Potential Part 2, I alluded to like the military and all that sort of stuff, like doing a lot of like military ships doing pass-throughs and stuff. They're all doing grid work. I feel that in the 3D, if I go back to the image, in the 3D, what's going on with the South China Sea is, I did a video about like warfare with Andrew. I've done a whole theme. There's a cyber warfare one. I think that was part 3 with Sean and Andrew. I think maybe part 2 was about the Tianjin explosion in China, and he said that was a strike by a certain country, and their stock market tanked by 40% on that day as well. So it was like a real effort to attack China. And so a lot of the 3D stuff relative to the South China Sea is China's actually defending themselves from that. All right.
Saying everything's going to be okay over and over doesn't stop your house burning down around you, does it? Eventually, we shall be eating our pets.
Well, if that's your philosophy, you could trade it.
Extremely reasonable at twice the price. No, I'm being sarcastic. It is reassuringly expensive.
Buy an option on the US 10-year at 4%.
Well, yields haven't been there since before you were born.
Actually, since the early aughts.
Were you even sentient then?
Sorry, Nicole. Graduates don't normally pitch.
Fuck that. Let her talk.
With the president bulldozing the reputation of US overseas, for me it follows that the administration will totally kill the rep of treasuries.
And pissing in China's mouth isn't going to help.
Exactly. Personally, I just think we're due an enormous sell-off. We're low-key throwing ourselves in cold wars with all of our trading partners. China are the biggest global holder of US paper. If they start dumping, yields will soar past 4%. If you think the house is burning down, this is how you monetize it.
Bearish people lose money in this market.
Yeah, but the world's pregnant with tail risk.
Right. And this is a play for the end.
Who wants another drink? Anyone?
My BT hates it when I'm hungover. We are gonna have to love you and leave you, I'm afraid, as hard as that is.
Right, well, I won't get up. Fine for you to piss off to bed, but I'll let Harper finish your thoughts, yeah?
Great. Nicole? Harper, pick up the bill.
Mikey, you should be fresh in the morning.
Yep, I'll be the responsible one. Here is my card.
Thank you. So I can write up an email?
I don't think you're a saleswoman. That's a compliment. Salespeople sell certainty. Ah, lovely.
What a life.
I'm videoing it. What the
I think that might be a gas station or something.
I guess. Whoa! Oh! What the? No! No, baby! No!
Are we dangerous here?
Yeah, we're dangerous. Oh my God!
Oh dear! Are you filming?
Yes, I'm filming.
Whoa! Whoa! I think we are dangerous.
Let's go! Let's go down! Let's go! I did a video about like warfare with Andrew. I've done a whole thing. There's a cyber warfare one. I think that was part 3 with Sean and Andrew. I think maybe part 2 was about the Tianjin explosion in China, and he said that that was a strike by a certain country, and their stock market tanked by 40% on that day as well. So it was like a real effort to attack China. And so a lot of the 3D stuff relative to the South China Sea is China's actually defending themselves from that, right? And the West is imposing themselves on them and stuff like that. So, but that's all cover for the womb chakras bubbling up. Do you understand? So there's a high level game going on, and it's to lock down the womb chakras, and that's why China's like formed military bases on those reefs, because in all likelihood they're activated womb chakras and they've got to put the military stuff on there. So when I'm talking about this girl, puts a crystal over there, and she's got lineage to the emperorship of rule of China. It's massive, okay? That freaking combination of, she's just managed to elude whatever elimination's gone on, because I'm sure 99% of all the heirs to that throne have all been eliminated and stuff. And I'm saying that I know China knows that who she is, because they're not dumb, alright? They know all their threats. You think Communist Party is obsessed about angles of interference and stuff and knowing lineages out there and stuff? Absolutely. So yeah, it was really amazing. And I'm not glorifying the earthquake and stuff, but I work on a soul level of things, and it really shook up that island, and I believe there's a volcano there and stuff, so it's very significant to the earth in its own way. It's a womb chakra, so it probably affected it. But I feel the line from Perth to and the link to the womb chakra with me formed a big triangle, and Nikki was there to clear up, just like doing her thing, and the perfect synchronicity of it all. So it's really quite epic. So this is sort of things that are going on, and I've been very, very, very proactive to get crystals around to people around the world. And what I've said in past releases is I'd hoped that the part 7 was going to be related to another person that worked in America, that activated the dream time in the grid of America after we did Turtle Island. Like I talked about Turtle Island in part 2 of the Infinite Potential Healing, with a lady by the name of Mandy Lynn Golden Eagle, who's a Mi'kmaq elder from like Canada and stuff, and she lives on the West Coast and stuff, and been through a really horrible 4 years since I was up there doing it with her, and I sort of dropped the ball, and I acknowledge that. So yeah, this is more about grid work at a pretty high level and stuff, and like I said, in the early parts, working at these sort of levels, like parallel, finding people, doing my videos, doing my healings, giving away, doing the videos with Andrew and stuff, doing the mentorship and putting myself out there publicly, doing the grid work and sourcing crystals and going through all the extreme physical effort, and then holding the space for these people that are going to be who they potentially are on Earth, and investing in them on a massive level, like the last Mimsy. So I'm just sharing what I've done and why I look beaten up, or why I've been very hesitant to be public and stuff. I know I've got a lot of responsibility, but I'm also respectful for the reality, like in the intro that talks about the flow from Richard Allen Miller, and the image I've got. I'm not stepping on anyone's toes. I feel the universal, I'm flowing in the universal, like being a source stream, I'm flowing in the universal will. And from the soul level, if you listen to the Discern Me video about the third one that I mentioned in Infinite Potential Part 2, I've done like big things in the past, and the Pleiades, like being a celestial singer, activating planets and stuff like that. So if you're tuning into me and you don't understand what it is and stuff, and you feel my frequency and my voice, and there's something in it and there's something to unpack, it's probably because you and we've had that celestial, galactic, planetary activator past and stuff like that. So that would be what you're tuning into. So that's why I put myself out there in this, and I'm on everyone's side, you know. Like, I felt like being a bit naughty with saying all this stuff, because fuck it, like, who else is going to know? Who else? I've been around a lot of people and they say, oh, you shouldn't talk about this and shouldn't do that, you can get targeted. And I realized, no, that's your fear, it's not mine. I feel that this information having a potential to be found is the most precious thing at the moment. So when I interact with others, we are usually talking about something else, and this to me is the priority that should have been talked about a lot, because I feel it would have helped a lot had it been out there in the past. But also I had to be ready for it, and you know, this outcome where I am is like a byproduct of everything that's gone on, and it's led to this moment and stuff. So if you are here and you're listening to this, I appreciate it. This stuff is pretty epic and hard to contemplate and accept if it is what we do and stuff, but I feel we are the ones that can only probably do this. Those of you who are very disciplined and courageous and thorough and maintaining the bar very high on yourself in your own way, and you've had no voice to speak about the amazing stuff you do. I thank you, and I thank you if you found me. I thank you also if you've invested me and explored infinite potential healing. I've had some really, really incredible, amazing experience and beings having the courage to seek me out for that, and it's been very humbling and helpful for me to be able to keep doing all this. So I thank you guys and your generosity and your investment in yourself, and seeing me as a variable that can possibly contribute to your future and your potential, because you're all last Mimsies to me. I know, like, I've used the internet and I've searched using different IPs to find me, and I'm very, very hidden, because especially when I did the sun an effect on the body, it was like there's a new level of suppression going on. So I feel there's a lot of us in the community that are sort of talking about these things that are all suppressed. It's not just me, but the YouTube algorithms are very, very weird at the moment. I strongly suggest you use a desktop computer and not your mobile phone now. You look at the differences of how the YouTube looks and stuff, just going by a browser versus like using your phone. It's very, very different. I suggest you go to the options in the YouTube channel, like the videos and the playlists and stuff. I've set up all playlists of all the videos and stuff, and I always recommend other people and stuff. So all the work I've done in the past, there's stuff, including myself and teachers and lessons playlists that are in there that have a lot to devour and stuff. So I encourage you to work out how to search on Google or whatever to download to YouTube, to MP3 or whatever, and put them on your phone and sleep with this material and see what you dream with and co-create with. And I'm finding some people are having blocks to actually, they've got missing things that are said, like they're not really absorbing what I've been saying and stuff, so that could require healing, but also to operate in a different way, like I said, in an altered state. So those of you who are dedicated and thorough and watch these many times and take notes and stuff, I thank you as well, that you're one of the very rare. So if you journal and you have questions and stuff, like put them in the comments and that I'll try and answer. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this Galactic Special Forces Part 7 and me sharing some of my really privileged experiences. I've got some birds flying around. They're very interesting. They're wanting to get to the tree that I'm near with all the nectar. And hang in there, guys. You know, a lot's going on, but a lot's going on and it's not aimed for you. If you're here with me, you've just got to be able to endure it and maintain yourself. And please, if you need healing, I'm welcome. I'd love to explore with you and see what we can create. So once again, Andre Hodge, Infinite Potential Healing, Servant of Truth, Crocodile, Star-Lord, Wolverine, Aladdin, Dundee, just holding space with you and sharing and being a bit naughty this time. So thank you for watching. Thank you for investing your time with me, and I hope you've gained something from it, and I hope you continue to explore with me and see where we can go. But this time it's Andre out once more. Have a great night, guys. Cheers. Hi guys, I hope you've enjoyed this so far. This is just a quick outro, and I wanted to share some sort of blowback I had after this, and feels like 2018 was lifetimes ago. As I said, in Foundational Components there was a lot of videos I did with Andrew that year and recordings and stuff that were very powerful, and perhaps some of them got pushed back as well. But what happened to me not long after this is I remember having a conversation with this particular individual, and I suggested she go for a sort of a session and that with whoever I was working for, and she flipped out at how much it was, and sort of we had a bit of a falling out with that. She sort of couldn't believe that someone would pay that much, and that's fine. To me what I feel, right, when it comes to value, in this 3D 5 sense reality, having the courage to invest in something that goes beyond it is going to have a lot of pushback, right? It's going to be seen as that, and her as a psychologist and stuff, it's challenges that paradigm and stuff. I've always valued spirituality stuff as the most. Most people value it the least, so the value is the highest for me, and that's why every time I do it, majority of the time I do sessions and stuff, I always overvalue the people and stuff to instill value in them. And like I said, I've been very, very generous, even though because I know what it's like, because I went bankrupt in April 2012, and that was 3 years of basically very, very difficult hardship and living on $10 a day, a meal and a half a day, walking 10 to 15 kilometers a day, and that's where I learned emotional mastery and all that sort of foundational stuff that makes me very solid now. You know, like, if you realize that emotions have a life force component to it, I had to learn to budget my life force, alright? That's where I get money, as an encapsulation of life force. So when people do stuff for you and it costs them, then they're having life force cost and stuff. So to me, it's always been energy exchange. What someone does and their talents and what they've gone through, you need to value it and stuff. And in my naivety of accelerating everything, I haven't allowed value to come through, and there was always going to be a crunch and a big sort of from my perspective, there was a need to accelerate, and as I've said in the writings of a lot of the Galactic Special Forces prior to this, and total commitment. The other thing, like, say in 2015 there was a lot going on, and one of the big things, like I mentioned in this one, that Nikki was in Denpasar, just strategic, random, didn't know what we're there for, and then stuff happened and she was called on to do her speciality. In 2015 I was working with her as well, and she went to Nepal where there was another massive earthquake, and she was doing ancestral karma clearance on the earth and clearing all the demons and entities that were dislodged from the temples, and the attached people that died and stuff like that. So the two activist shows I did with Andrew, one of the ladies, she was actually over there and getting hammered and stuff, so Nikki was there at the time, and she's hardcore. So yeah, this was a very unique sort of set of environment, set of components that allowed this pretty epic thing to happen. And just the purpose of sharing this is to show that we are that incredible, alright? Like I said, in the main body, like part of my reading with Andrew, the third one was about being a celestial singer for the Pleiades, activated planets, plural, at the same time and stuff. So if you go back and listen to Galactic Special Forces Part 5, which is where Nikki and I did major work in the Orion star system and stuff, it's like, that's why I've looked beaten up and hidden and been very reluctant to be public, because it's like I haven't had the strength and fortitude to defend myself, which I do now after all this stuff that's gone on, because the hit I had in April 19th, 2020 related to the finishing off of Galactic History Part 2, that was pretty heavy, and it took me months to recover. What happened after this, and after I had this sort of falling out with the main girl, it's not a falling out, but what I allow is people, if they need to disengage from me, they have the choice, and that's what happens a lot. I have to be very sort of strict in myself of not getting too attached. Like, I really fall in love a lot, and just blessed by being able to witness the divinity and the amazing aspect of the souls of these people that come in and out of my life. And I, like I said in the Conscious Explorer series, which goes back to starting in 2014 and stuff, it's like you can't be attached to the outcome, and having an attachment to these sort of people, you have to let them go to create a gap for the new potentials to come in. That's working with the unseen and stuff. So she moved on, and I don't really want to say too much. It's a bit personal, and that not for me, but I'm dealing with other people, and I'm going to be very vague with the blowback for me here, because whenever I sort of mention people, it's like then there's falling outs and it creates issues and stuff, and I don't want to. My energy in being courageous and speaking my truth on this is like, it's tip of the spear and pushing a lot, and it's like I said, the judgment at the stuff, it's bringing a lot back, and I'm just me in this. I'm the same. I'm guarding the womb chakra and operating in a very humble existence and stuff. And what happened to me, I think it was about October 3rd, and this was a really unique hit. So the hits that get me now are pretty it's like I get hit once and then I get the defense of that. And what happened this particular time, I'm pretty sure it's October 3rd, so it was a month or two later. Like doing all the video work and stuff, it's very, very demanding, and I was working at a very high level, so my fatigue can get down and stuff. That's why I do a lot of gym work, because the gym sort of, when you get fit, you get very energy efficient, and the recovery, like what I've said in past videos is, and I think it's been taken down where I said that, is what I learned over a long period of time is, and when I get into the etheric implant sort of video, which might be part 3 of the infinite potential healing, is that what I came to the conclusion about me is that it was very, very hard to get to a level of absolute defense, all right? You don't know all the angles of all the possibility that can come at you. We're not given those sort of information, and we're operating in a 3D 5 sense reality, and when we're multidimensional beings and stuff. So a lot of this, the infrastructure around us doesn't have to conform to that. So the logic from my perspective is investing in the metaphor I used when I got into IT was I was very naive and very insecure, so I created all these problems to create me to have the experience of actually learning on the other side of what these problems were like. So when the problems came up, I was prepared. But what I realized is it's not that great investment of life force. So what I learned to do over time was realize, oh shit, I'm actually really good at finding stuff on Google, and this was going back when Google first started, so it was very pure. So what I went from being a proactive attitude to a passive and react, okay? And that's the same strategy I used in the memory videos of part 9 and 10 of the multidimensional method to the 3D Madness series, where you can react and trust your ability to call on what you need in the moment. And so one of my main components, hey buddy, one of my main components of my defense is actually being passive and not thinking I need to defend myself. It's the ability to recover very quick. And so that actually creates a magnification of your defense because you don't have a fear element. Does that make sense? It's very, very, very subtle, but when you trust your abilities to repair and use your own healing abilities and stuff, which I've learned to employ myself, which is what I've birthed infinite potential healing out of and stuff, which is an expansion of that over many, many years, all right, is you sort of trust yourself, and then your defense is very high by that over a period of time, and trusting yourself and going through the journeys and all the healings you do to remove the consciousness Tetris gaps in yourself. So the gaps that are there are stuff that you don't know about, which you might get hard lessons that then you teach yourself and stuff, and then you can be proactive and all that sort of stuff. But this hit was very unique, and it was quite specialized, a bit like that April 19th one, when there was actually a power brownout, and a brownout is where the power goes off and it comes back on at a lower rate, so the frequencies are different. And what happened is I could hear the explosion out on my road of like some spark, alright? So it caused the blackout, but the power came on very quick. And what it did, and I don't know the full angles, but there was like a triangulation of where I was sitting into my room. And the frequencies were beamed in all directions to where my head was, and it was like a similar attack to the scale that I had in April 19, 2020. So this is back in October 3, I believe that's the date that sticks out, right? And yeah, what it did, it basically, it was like trying to give me an aneurysm and stroke and all that sort of stuff, and I realized, oh shit, straight away I basically had to shut down and what I was doing and lie down and just take like pain medication and knock myself out. And it took a few days to like migraines and stuff to yeah, sort of put myself back together and stuff. And I've always trusted the genius of our body's ability to heal. So a lot of what happens is based on malnutrition and stuff, and the absence of resources in the body to engage the genius sort of healing abilities. So yeah, I realized, oh shit, that was a pretty random sort of almost impossible gap to sort of perceive, and thinking that you can lower your guard totally in your sanctuary, which like early videos, sanctuary space and sanctuary state sort of things. You could create a insecurity about that sort of thing and that. So eventually what happened is, or what happened with that, it was just scrambling with my brain, like rewiring my brain to make me go crazy and stuff, and I didn't really have a lot of help. What happened after that is I got a lot of psoriasis over my face, particularly over my eyes. So what would happen is the computer, like the frequencies coming from that would actually like irritate my my eyes and stuff like that. And I think it was April 2019 my hard disk died and stuff, so it caused a lot of issues. I lost a lot of data and stuff because all this issue in skin and stuff that was creating really bad eyesight and stuff. I had to sort of throttle back how much time I was spending on the computer, but I still maintained my output, creating videos and all that stuff through it, and I made sure I was clear in that. And then I think it was June 2020, which was 9 months later, I Operation Naughty show, which was an AI show with Andrew, and it sort of put me on the spot to do that, which is cool. I like to step up and just see what my potential is and stuff. And then what happened was there's a friend out there that's in Australia, and she was just out in the multidimensional levels, and I really went and saw a lot of people for help and stuff, and I got run ragged by a lot of people, like doing my mentorship and all that sort of stuff still. And yeah, this other friend, and I'm being very respectful by not giving much information, because I'm not sure where that individual's at and stuff, but they were in the multidimensional, they saw what was going on to my brain and stuff, and they actually went in and did it because and resolved it for me, which I'm very, very grateful for. And as a reward for that person, I got them like $50 million worth of crystals, probably. Like, I charge US dollars, so because that's their reserve currency, a bit like what I did in Perth and stuff with these many, like that southwest region of Australia sort of investment with people as well, because the crystals are a huge effort and they're very precious and valuable. So yeah, that was an interesting experience after this. And 2019 was very interesting and tough, and like after June, then there was Lionsgate, and then it was on for me for another couple of years. So yeah, I'm not sort of glorifying any of this and stuff. I work at a pretty high level, and you can always have gaps and stuff, and there's also divide and rule that divides people from you and stuff, and I'm always the same, alright? I go through my stuff and that, and I'm in line with Earth, and I do what's best, and I sort of take an elder sort of anchor level and allow people to do what they do. So if they come into my life, they come into life. I invest totally into them, because you never know what's going to happen. And that's a bit like, say, back in 2013, I did the Ancestral Karma to Nikki's level 3, and that's been foundational to me doing grid work. Like I said, if you do stuff and you've got consciousness Tetris unresolved angles that haven't been plugged, then what are you doing on the earth, alright? So people love to skip steps and go ahead, and then they get clobbered and stuff, and that's where my space now is. I'm not allowing that in. You choose to go your path and you don't listen to my advice, that's fine, I could be wrong, but then consequence happens, and then you seek me for that resolution. That's a violation of me, alright? That's not friendship, that's like usury, and then not valuing my wisdom, and then getting me to deal with the consequences of it. So I pretty operated in solitude and stuff now. I'm just holding my space for whatever comes up, and I'm particularly loving dealing with clients and what they're going through, and transmuting them, and investing all I have, all this Galactic Special Forces in them and stuff, and helping them realize how amazing they are, and what they've been through as a metaphor of how amazing they are and stuff, and assisting one person at a time, like the like what I've said about the activist shows I did with Andrew, where he had a lady that worked for a charity, and she said that that's the way. Like, so if you listen to the prior release, which was Foundation Components, a big picture, then you know, who knows what the potential is for us if we focus on that, chipping away at everything and stuff. So this has gone on quite long. It's another long video with all the clips and stuff like that. If you've gotten to this point, you've listened to it and you've taken on board my advice, and you've been thorough about yourself first and stuff, I really appreciate that. It's probably the most important information you need and you should employ, because who knows who you are. You might be the one that teaches me a lot, and you probably will. Like, I love learning from everyone and their experiences, and that's where the empathy, the sonar use of empathy and tuning into people's journeys is, you know, part of the discovery process for me and stuff. So thank you for being here. It's obviously getting quite dark and stuff again. So I hope you gain a lot out of this. I don't try and do a lot of bells and whistles. I leave it very like 80s sort of cassette tape level of just the data that you can absorb and stuff. And yeah, hang in there, guys. It's an endurance game, and probably a lot of other people are needing to go through stuff, and there's resolution at a big level and stuff. So just watch out for you know, if you're in Australia and stuff, the supermarkets and stuff, they can be pretty dense, and people bring in a lot of their issues, and you might need to be like me when I was like dealing with all those girls that, you know, were drowning and stuff. And like my IT background and dealing with crises, you need to have that sort of mentality of holding it when everyone else is falling apart, sort of thing. So anchor the energies and hang in there, guys. It's an interesting, courageous, and sometimes scary ride here, but you wouldn't be here unless you're the best of the best. So own that, see what the potentials are with that, and let's see where we go, guys. Until next time, lots of love to you, and thank you for listening, and thank you for investing your time in me, and I'll see you next time. Andre Hodge out. Cheers.
And very importantly, we developed the concept of virtue and character. The ancient Greeks themselves did, and that concept was in particular elaborated by the Romans. And so you hear, I believe it's the philosopher Epicurus, amongst others, who said, your fate is your character. And I think what they meant by that in the early days, because in ancient times life was tough, what they meant is you might not be able to escape your fate. There were tyrants, and a tyrant might come into your city, and a tyrant might decide that he wanted to take your house for himself, and he might kick you out of your house, and a tyrant might even decide that you needed to be imprisoned, or the tyrant might decide that you should even be whipped. But you always could control your attitude about these things. The tyrant might try to break you completely and humiliate you completely. And the tyrant could control everything physical about your circumstances. But the tyrant couldn't control your sense of yourself and your sense of virtue. And by that, some of the Stoic philosophers in particular meant that the tyrant couldn't control the fact that in that situation, you're the virtuous one and he is not. And that no matter what the tyrant tried to strip away from you, he couldn't strip away your virtue. Now, I don't know if a modern psychologist would agree to that. People do succumb to tortures and to pressures, and the world might not be so clean. But we developed this notion that we have some control over our own lives, and it starts with what we think about ourselves. That's a deep conception, that we have the ability to change our lives by changing the way we think. Not every culture, not every myth accepts that. It's very deep. And to people today, you can talk to people and test them as psychologists do, and you'll find that people can be divided into two kinds. There are the people who think there are two kinds of people and the people who think there are not. I'm kidding. But in this particular division, people can be divided into two kinds, and they are people who feel that they have some control over their lives and people who don't. And their circumstances don't necessarily have to be any different. You can feel that you don't have control over your circumstances, and people will have a wide range of reasons why. I can't change my life because I'm too old. I can't change my life because I'm too young. I can't change my life because I'm not smart enough. I can't change my life because people resent how smart I am. I can't change my life because the color of my skin. People won't let me. Or I can't change my life because of the religion I was born into, or because my parents won't let me, or because my wife won't let me, or because my children won't let me. Or a good one for me is I can't really change my life because I'm a parapsychologist and it's a very unpopular science to be in. And you know, people who hold these beliefs really hold them deeply. They truly, seriously believe that they cannot. And what psychologists discover is what you might imagine. If you believe that that's true, it becomes true.
You know, deism and, you know, monotheism, and, you know, you go into all the different philosophies of Hobbes and Kant, the concepts of natural and civil law, but really, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. That means the most important thing on earth is your true will. Not your free will, your true will. What you end up doing. Some of us have nam. Nam is called grace, where you have more severances of the onion, the different layers of it. You see? And you're constantly getting closer to the core. And that's your true self. And that's what's called true will. Free will is a nice concept and would be really nice if we had it, but we don't. To have free will would mean that we were God. Well, in other words, man does not have rights. He has responsibilities.
Yeah, definitely.
That's right. And so, you know, with electronic stalking and whether someone's mind control and getting into my mind, or it's an alien trying to take over, or a demon, you know, that's when you would say that man has a responsibility for the thoughts he chooses to entertain. Once you assume the responsibility of your actions, now you're moving toward the light. Here's an example of that. For example, you want to be honest. Well, there's several reasons why you want to be honest. One landscape would be, I want to be honest so I don't get busted. I don't want to get caught. The other landscape is, it's the right thing to do. I want to be Homer Pyle. You know, and that part allows you to create a reality where if you're doing it because you don't want to get caught, that becomes a possibility. And that becomes part of the reality of it, because that's what I said. Merlin said it. Anything not specifically forbidden is mandatory. That means if it's possible, you can count on it. That's the good, the bad, and the ugly. All of it is all of it together. And so it's the interpretation. And if you have an internal landscape that's love and so on, imagine what that's going to do to the water in your body and the way it surfaces against your organs. That's a good way to look at things.
Oh,
water is your emotional body, and the water you choose to take into your body is as important as your food choices.
John Lilly once put it this way: there are no limits at all to the human mind whatsoever, except those we impose on ourselves because of our beliefs. And those limits are also beliefs to be transcended. And that's a view that suggests that the possibilities of human transformation are virtually infinite. And we have no way of knowing the outer horizon of what it means to be human.
And really, to understand all this, everything, you have to go very, very deep into a study of history, consciousness, neurophysiology, everything. You have to be the supreme eclectic type of leaning, and you really have to be wanting to know who you are and what everything's about.
And the thing that you'll find when you go to sacred sites, if you're very humble about it, is that you are on a personal journey, and the sacred site will respond to you in a way that is appropriate only to you. The information is always what you are searching for. And it's the intent you give that energy that defines whether it is used for right action or not. And it is inside these sacred spaces that you will be reminded that you are a god, that you are a bright star.
So what you're trying to do is move through the course without ricocheting off walls or creating karma. You're trying to slide through things smoothly. How do you do that? It's called flowing. There's a technique that you can do that will allow you to touch some part of your inner being that has more knowledge than your conscious state does.